For my presentation for class, I'm going to be teaching on how to analyze a property. So essentially just real estate investing 101. So a little bit about me. I'm a real estate agent in Eau Claire with Stars and Stripes Realty. I got licensed as a freshman. I've been working in real estate for the past 3 years now. I own and manage a couple student rentals in Eau Claire, so I have a little bit of experience and hopefully I can shed some to you. Now, before I start, I'm going to give a little quote by FDR. Real estate cannot be lost or stolen. Purchased with common sense, paid for in full, and managed with reasonable care is about the safest investment in the world. I want you guys to keep that in the back of your mind as we go through this. So Real Estate Investing 101, how to analyze a rental property. So before you even get into looking at properties, you need to do your own pre-analysis, right? You need to be able to identify your goals, right? What works for you? You need to be able to identify your market. For the examples I'm going to be giving, they're all going to be related to Eau Claire, so Eau Claire will be our market. Then you need to create your plan. What's your investment plan? How long do you want to invest for? And what kind of rate of return are you looking at? And then step 4, you need to execute. So now, get into the actual presentation. Analyze a property. So to analyze a property, there are 3 major steps, those being location, structure, and then running the numbers. So with location, so like I said, we're going to be looking at Eau Claire. Here's my great map of Eau Claire. You can see Water Street, UW Eau Claire, and then the 3rd Ward area. These are generally considered the student housing areas, as the majority of students, they don't want to live outside that distance. So if you have a home that's in that area, it will make for a great student rental, right? And then for the example I'm using is actually located up here on Fulton Street. A friend of mine actually used me last year to represent him in a transaction, and that was the house that he had bought. So I'll be using that one as our example. So we got our location down. The house that we found was in the student housing area. Now we had to go and look at the house and actually analyze to see if the structure of it works, right? So when you come up to the house, the first thing you want to do is look at the big 4 expenses. Let's see if I can fit this in. You got the roof, windows, siding, and foundation. Now, what a lot of landlords don't look at when they first come up to a property is they got to look at those big 4, because down the road, those are your biggest expenses on repairs are going to have to happen in the future. So make sure you account for those when you initially analyze the property. Make sure they're all in good quality and they can last for a few years before you have to repair. Then we'll go into running the numbers. So before we run the numbers, we got to look at the characteristics of Fulton Street and why it was good, right? This goes back to the structure. So it had a new roof, it had new siding, it had block foundation as opposed to sandstone. It was in a good location right across the river from Phoenix Park and the Light Bridge. And then it also had the potential to have a 4th bedroom for extra rent, right? Because student rentals, they rent out by the bedroom. And then probably the best of all was that it was only listed for $115,000, which is considered cheap for student rentals in the area. So now I'll actually go through the running the numbers process, right? So the listing price was for $115,000, and since many of us are college students, we're not able to pay for it in cash. So my buyer had to go and acquire a loan, conventional loan for 5% down. 5% down of $115,000 is $5,750. Add about $1,800 for closing costs, which bring his initial investment to $7,550. All right. Now, with the 4th bedroom at $400 per room, the gross income was $1,600. So with that being said, now we got to look at the expenses. Your mortgage and taxes and insurance. Those are your 3 big expenses. And with this house, it added up to $730. So subtract your expenses from your gross income. That leaves you with your net, your cash flow. Cash flow for this property is $870, which is pretty substantial for such a low investment, right? So that brings in $10,440 a year, making a 138% annual rate of return. So now you can kind of see why student rentals make such a good investment. And it's all passive income. It's not active. You don't have to actively work. It's all stuff that happens on the side. Another quote is, landlords, they grow rich while they're in their sleep. And that was actually a quote from John Stuart Mill, okay? So it's another one to think about. And then, I don't know if you guys have ever read Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, but his quote is, winners are not afraid of losing, losers are. Failure is a part of the process of success. People who avoid failure avoid success. So with that being said, take the risk, go invest, and find success. Thanks, guys.